All right, good morning. Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance Services. We're going to talk today about kind of claims handling and what do we do here at Strategic Insurance and why is this so important? So, first off, I'm just writing down pay the promise. I think this is super important to think about when we think about what we do in the insurance business. And I've said this for years, at the end of the day, people walk away with a piece of paper and a promise, right? And that's super important, though. If your house burns to the ground or your commercial building gets destroyed because of a hurricane, the insurance policy you have is super critical, right? And I encourage all of us to think about the impact we have in the community, the impact we have on clients' lives. And it's easy, I've shared before, in doing some training with team members, that it's so easy in the daily grind to, frankly, it's just a name and a number, or it's a client on a piece of paper or a spreadsheet or whatever, and lose sight of that. So in terms of paying the promise, what does that look like? So, first off, obviously, if you take a claims call, you really want to use this, in terms of taking the claims call. And this is a good thing to always think about, is LEAR, right? And what is LEAR? So LEAR, L stands for listen, E stands for empathize, A stands for ask, R stands for resolve, right? This is something we've talked about that, again, you can use in almost any and all situations, period, especially in the event of a claim. Just listen, what happened? And if you've been in the insurance business any length of time and you've done any level of claims calls, some people are incredibly emotional. Some people are incredibly upset. I've had people call me at, accidents in tears, or, their homes got water flooding in and they're just frantic, right? Empathize. I'm so sorry to hear what you're going through. We're going to be here to help. And I think that's the biggest part, obviously, if you're able to actually take the call. Now, I will say, no doubt, with the technology and the day and age, sometimes clients call direct to the carrier. They file online, and you may not even know about it, obviously. So there are some claims that sort of flow through the agency that we may not even know about. These are obviously ones that a client's reaching out to you. And then ask, I think, very simply, like, are you okay, right? Like, this one goes a big way. Are you okay? Very, very simple. I've heard other people take claims. I'm not saying here specifically, but just in general. And again, there's not even that level of like, are you okay? And I think that's super, super important. And then, the resolve is really the next steps, right? Like, what do the next steps look like? And a couple things on what you're going to present to the client, and then also what you're going to do on your end, or we're going to do as part of a team process on our end. So number one is we need to make sure the claim gets filed. Now, I do recommend, okay, and I'm going to even go down here in terms of like file the claim, primarily, and I'll put, file online if at all possible. Almost everything we can do and file online, right? And all the carriers will tell you this is the quickest, fastest way. The days of, frankly, like, I'm going to call the company and file the claim are over. If you have to, you can do it, but really this is more where we're at today. The other thing that I would say is if you can't file it online, you can email the claim in to an underwriter, right? And if you don't know where or who to file the claim, obviously you could ask someone on the team, myself, Phyllis. A lot of times it could be as simple as, and I'll do this just as an example here. So let's say we've got a claim with Bass Underwriters. And if I just Google and I say Bass Underwriters claims, what comes up? Okay, now how hard was this? Okay, report a claim. Claims at bassunderwriters.com, right? So a lot of times you're going to see things like that, and it's going to show you right here, and again, this is a little more in depth of like commercial excess and surplus, where you would have to do a first notice of loss. And again, if you're not familiar with that, ACORD, you can find that on our management system. You can Google, again, first notice of loss ACORD and get an idea of, oh, here's what this looks like. And it's going to, depend, was it a property claim or a liability claim? But basically, this is the info that would get then filled out and then emailed into the Bass Underwriters, right? So that's really obviously the most important thing, is then getting that in and getting that in quickly. And then I would explain to the client, that our goal is to be here to support and follow up. Let's be very clear. We don't pay the claim. We can't pay the claim. We're not the ones that are claims adjusters. We're here to facilitate. You know, when I kind of put pay the promise, right, and I'm saying this at the very bottom, like, this is really the goal of insurance and what we do at a high level. But we want to also be clear to not make promises. I'm going to put that here, not to promise and say, oh yeah, that's covered, right? We want to be mindful of that. Now, there's things that are certainly more clear than others. There's things like, hey, there's a fire. Okay, I get some of that. But in general, we also want to watch of what we're saying in terms of like, yes, this is absolutely covered. And there are times where clients may have very complex situations and they may be asking you specific questions. And the best answer is you just say, listen, I'm really not sure. This is why we have trained claims adjusters that work with all of the insurance carriers. And their goal is to be here to make sure and help you with the claim. My goal, and this would be you talking as a Clients for Life team member or a producer, an agent, or someone else on our team, is to say, look, our goal is to make sure you're getting prompt and appropriate service from them, right? So what does that look like? So really, in terms of after the claim has been filed, what I would suggest, I'm just going to put, after you have filed the claim, you want to document this in the management system. Okay, and then I would suspend it. And I would suspend it for probably 7 to 10 days. Okay? And then I would also make sure it gets into our claims sequence. And for that, you can email Joyce at getstrategicins.com. And so basically we have some automated claim sequences that once we know a client's had a claim, we can set up. So there will be some automated emails going out to follow up. And frankly, they're just checkpoints. I like the idea that you're suspending it for 7 to 10 days and you personally are following up, right? Remember, the personal touch counts, right? Now, when I say suspend it, that could be, again, management system, calendar, whatever you need to do. I do this still. I have clients that I still work with on claims, and half of it is just, hey, how's the claim going? Have you heard from the claims adjuster? Oh, yeah, they have, and they're coming out Wednesday. Great. Let me know how that goes. If I can help in any way, please keep me posted. As I shoot this video, we're early 2023. We came off of Hurricane Ian last September. We still have clients that are still going through and having a hard time with the claim due to the complexity and severity and amount of claims that occurred. And some of that is just continuing to follow up with the client and continue to push on the claims people, right? So remember, squeaky wheel gets the grease. And that's if it's like, hey, I haven't heard from claims. I haven't heard from my adjuster. That's where I would say you need to get involved. You need to call the carrier. You need to leave messages. You need to ask for supervisors. I say this in the best possible way. We want to kind of kick down doors, if you will, to try and make it easier for our clients. At the end of the day, we're here to help them be made whole again, right? So that's kind of a crash course really on what we do with claims. If you've got specific questions, please let me know. Always happy to help, and dream big and make it happen. And for 2023, burn the ships.